Good morning, everyone out there in Flosstube land. Today is Wednesday, May 27th, I think. And thank you for joining me again. This is my second Flosstube. And I want to thank everyone who commented and subscribed. It's a very heartwarming feeling knowing that people are actually watching what I'm doing and actually want to see some more. So let's get to it. Today I'm going to go show you some of my finishes that I've had since my last video. I'll show you what I'm currently working on, and then I will spend a little bit of time doing the Know Your Needleworker tag so you can get to know me a little better. So let's get started. My first finish was actually yesterday, or the first finish I'm going to show you was actually yesterday. This is Resplendent Autumn. I think I showed it to you last week. It's by Summer House Stitchworks. Please forgive me, I'm using my laptop's video webcam for the first time and I'm still trying to get used to it. Anyway, this was a chart that I bought last year, and I just used the 3 recommended colors, DMC threads, and it's done on 14 count white Ada. Next up was part of my Salamania. It's Year of Bouquets by Carolyn Manning. Here's the chart for the January block. And I did not accomplish my goal, but I did get quite a bit stitched. There are a lot of color changes in this particular pattern, which make it pretty, but also make it longer to stitch. Oops. So I've gotten about half of it done. I did like the bottom right hand corner of it. And again, this is done on 32 count graceful gray with Carolyn's recommended DMC colors. And it is kept in this darling project bag that my sister-in-law made for me. She's a seamstress, and when project bags started showing up, I asked her if she would make me a few, and she did. So this is this. Isn't that pretty? And then this yellow is on the inside. I just asked her to pick some things that I might like, or that she liked, and so there we go. And it's got the little Velcro tab on the thing. I've got other projects in other project bags that she made, and I'll show you those as I get to them. So those are my finishes. Next up, what I'm working on since then and for the next week or so. The first one is Seeking Refuge. This is the one I showed you last week. I think several of you are doing this. And here's where I am as of today. And again, I'm sorry. I got the second row of windows done and the top 2 windows done, and I finished the right hand side of the door. And here are the colors. I'm just using all of the recommended colors. These are so pretty. And let's see, my other project is a DesignWorks Jim Shore kit. I might have showed you this last week. It's Spring Angel, and again, it's part of a series. So just as a reminder, here's the photo. I don't know what that fuzzy spot is on the top of the picture. But anyway, so here's what I've done, or here's where I am today. Let me get this out of the hoop so you can see it better. And it's, again, it's just a kit. It comes with floss. I think it's DMC floss, and then 14 count Ada. Now I'm working on her underskirt. I hope you can see that. It's crooked. Technical newbie here. Anyway, so there's that. And that's what I'm going to be working on probably the rest of this week. Next week starts June. Oh my gosh. And there's several challenges and other things going on in some of the Facebook groups that I'm on. So I will probably spend the weekend planning out my next few charts and my next month, and organizing how I want to stitch and what I want to stitch. So stay tuned, and I'll go over those plans next time. So, oh, and I do have some what I call stash acquisition. What who is it? Blue Bonnets and Whiskey calls investing in yourself. I belong to the Picture This Plus Fabric of the Month Club, so let me show you what I've gotten recently. I signed up for the 28 count Lugana, and I got the 18 by 27 piece. I believe that's a fat quarter. But this is Wren. I'm doing another piece on it, and it's really pretty. I don't know if you can see it. Maybe back here a little bit, but it's a really light, kind of an olive green. And then the thing I got a couple months ago is Heartland, and again, it's 28 count Lugana. It's a real pretty light brown, light tan, beige kind of thing. Please forgive the folds, I've just left it bagged up. But anyway, there's my fabric, and I'm slowly building up that stash. I mean, I have plenty of threads, and I have plenty of charts, and so now I'm building up a stash of fabric, so I don't have to go to the store every time I want to start something new. Okay, let's get to the Know Your Needleworker tag. And again, for those of you that are not interested in life updates, personal matters, that's perfectly fine. There's no judgment here at all. So if you're not interested in that, then I bid you a fond farewell. You can turn the video off now, and I will see you next time. And again, if you like it, please hit the like button. If you want to see more, hit the subscribe button. And please leave me comments, questions. I try to answer them as quickly as I can, but I will definitely answer them before my next video. So if you're leaving, adios, and I'll see you next time. For those of you that are staying, here we go. Some of this I've covered last week, but I'll say it again just because I forget. Where do you live? I live in a suburb of Dallas, Texas, just north of Dallas. The Dallas-Fort Worth area is huge. So when I tell people I live in Dallas, they go, oh, and so it's massive. And when I was doing contract work, excuse me, my allergies are still present. When I was doing contract work, they would send me a contract, or they'd call me and they say, oh, we have a site in so-and-so. And it would be in Fort Worth, which is, well, I apologize. Again, I'm a technical newbie when it comes to this video stuff, and somehow I cut off the last video, so I'm hoping I can splice these two together. Anyway, we were talking about where I live and the fact that you say Dallas and Fort Worth, but it's at least an hour from my house to the middle of Fort Worth, and it's like north to south, it's at least an hour too. So anyway, moving along. What do I do for a living? I am retired, so I don't do anything for a living. I have passive income from Social Security and from my military pension. I was active duty Army for 4 years and then in the Navy Reserve for probably 20 years. So fortunately, I did decide to stay in long enough to get my pension. And the biggest benefit was health care, because there was a time for about 7 years where I didn't have any health insurance. Fortunately, I was very healthy, so it didn't matter. But as I get older, that's becoming a bigger thing. And now that I'm on Medicare, I'm good. What I have done in the past, I might have told you this last time, and if so, I apologize. But my most recent job was working as a contractor for a major bank, maintaining the cleaning and maintaining the outsides of their ATMs, and then taking pictures to document the condition. And sometimes when I first started about 10 years ago, I would document the fact that the ATM had been stolen. This was back in the, I don't know, mid-2000s, I guess. And people were actually stealing ATMs. There was one time I went to a bank and somebody had taken the ATM off the concrete pad in the back of the bank at the drive-up, if you can believe that. And then several times that I went in, and to drugstores especially, and the ATMs, which they put right by the front door, had been taken out. The whole front door was smashed up. But anyway, I had to document the fact that it was missing. So that was an interesting job, and I enjoyed it. I got to go out, be outside, and didn't have to deal with people. I would just, I contacted the managers and kind of told them what I was going to be doing, and then after a while, they just kind of waved at me, and I went on about my business. Anyway, and I'm sure that job is now more important than ever with this COVID virus and people not supposed to touch things and everything. So I hope my replacement is nice and busy. Before that, I was an admin assistant for a nonprofit that worked with libraries around the country. And before that, I was, unemployed for about 4 years and lived off of unemployment and the kindness of my church family and my family and strangers. Before that, I was a technical writer for computer companies. I wrote, I think I told you this, I wrote system guides and installation guides and user manuals and training materials. And that's about all of it. I don't have any children and don't have any pets. I was married a long time ago, but we didn't have children. I have owned a few dogs since I've been back in here. I've been in my house now for almost 30 years. I can't believe it. Every time I say that, it's like, what? I wasn't planning on being here that long. But anyway, I've had 2 dogs over the course of that part of my life. One I got when he was a puppy, and I raised him, and he was my baby. Literally, he was like 90 pounds of Labrador Retriever, German Shepherd mix, but the sweetest thing you'd ever think of. He was black, so he scared a lot of people, but he just the sweetest thing. And he finally got really old and started having hip problems and couldn't move around, so I made the decision to have him put to sleep. One of the hardest decisions I've ever made in my life, and I don't regret it. It's just still sad to this day. And then it took about 4 years, and I got another dog, but it ended up being psychotic. It had been in a kennel or a shelter most of his life and had no people skills whatsoever. So I ended up giving him back to the rescue group that I got him from, because he was just tearing up everything in the house and would not let anybody come in the house. If I had somebody come in the house, he would get between me and them and start barking at them incessantly. Since then, I have not had pets, and I really don't intend to have pets. What are my other hobbies besides stitching? I would say travel, which I have sorely missed with this lockdown. And I also do genealogy. I'm researching my family history. That project has been on hold for quite a few years. Now that I'm retired, I will pick it up again and continue on. I've traced one line back to the Revolutionary War. One of my relatives was a captain in the Revolutionary Army. And so now I want to do some of the other families. And I also want to travel and see some of the places where my ancestors lived and worked, and also find out some of the stories and the history, not just collecting names and dates, but kind of fleshing it out and making it into a story. As far as travel goes, I have 3 main goals. One has been to visit all 50 states. I've gotten about, I think at last count I've been to 30, including Alaska and Hawaii. I also want to visit all of the state parks in Texas. It's kind of weird, but like I said last week, whenever there's a list, I have to do all of them. And I've done maybe a third of them so far, but it's kind of a moving target because they add and remove state park designations all the time. And of course now I can't go to any of them, but they're gradually opening back up. My other goal, which is more recent from last year, is to visit all of the national parks in the continental United States. They just recently added one, so now I think there's 62, and I've been to 7. So I've got my work cut out for me, but I plan on living a long, long time and seeing all of them at one point or another. I also enjoy reading, and let's see. That's pretty much it for right now. I may think of things later. My favorite movie? I don't really go to the movies a lot, but I would have to say my all-time favorite would be Gone with the Wind. It's one of those massive, epic drama, comedy, historical movies that has a little bit of everything. Romance, war, love, hate, you name it. It's in there somewhere. And the actors and actresses are really easy on the eyes. Let's face it, Clark Gable, I have watched several of his movies. And he and Sam Elliott are my crushes. My favorite TV show, I don't really have a favorite that stands out. I do like true crime, so I watch several of the ID channel series, I guess. See No Evil is really interesting because it shows how they use surveillance cameras and videos to investigate and catch criminals. As far as fiction, I enjoy NCIS and NCIS New Orleans. New Orleans, I like Scott Bakula because he and I share a birthday. I know he's not quite as old as I am, but he's still easy to look at, and it's kind of fun to say, oh yeah, I have the same birthday. I don't really like a lot of the modern comedies. I'm not into slapstick kind of silly comedies. I did enjoy The Big Bang Theory when it was on, and I was sad that it was over, but they ended it at a good spot. I approved of the way they brought it to a close. My favorite book? First thing that comes to mind is the Bible. That is my guide for living. I am spiritual, religious, you might say. I am a Christian. I don't judge other people that aren't, and I'm not going to push my beliefs on anybody. But it explains the way to live that I choose to live, and I'll just leave it at that. As far as other books, I like a wide variety of books. It depends on my mood. I like contemporary romances, Debbie Macomber, Judith Ann Krantz. I like historical fiction. I like nonfiction. I enjoy history, reading about history events. I majored in history when I was in college, and so when I was in Europe with the Army, I loved seeing all the spots that I studied about when I was younger. And I also like biographies of people that I know or people that I don't know. Just, getting to know them, their lives, how they fit into the overall pattern of history and our culture. My favorite music currently is country and western, more country than western. It's changed a lot over the years. I mean, growing up in Texas, I grew up with country music, and I hated it. I think primarily because it was my parents' generation's music, so me being the rebel, I didn't like anything that they liked. I like, the Beatles, Herman's Hermits, Paul Revere and the Raiders, and I'm dating myself really bad here. Some of you probably have never even heard of those groups. But those of you that have can relate. Now, since I moved back to Texas, I've gotten back into the country music. It's quite a bit different. A lot of it's more like pop than anything. But it's still got a lot of the same themes. And George Strait, Alan Jackson, Miranda Lambert, those kind of people. Blake Shelton, I just love seeing him on The Voice. Anyway, let's not go down that rabbit track. And the last one, what one word best describes you? I've been thinking about this, and I've recorded several false start videos where I talk about this, so let's see. I would have to say there's two words actually, caring and eclectic. Caring because I care about other people and I want to help them. I'm a fixer in a way. If somebody's got a problem, I want to help them fix it. Or, if somebody needs food, I want to donate food. If they need a ride, I'll take a ride. If they need somebody to listen to, that's me. I've always been told, and I pride myself on being a good listener, and I try not to judge people, but I listen and see what they need and then provide that need. I've been the recipient of help in the past, financially, food, emotionally, you name it, and so I just enjoy paying it forward. It's part of my belief system, and that's just who I am. And the other one would be eclectic, because I have such a wide variety of interests, and as you've seen with my hobbies and books and movies, it just depends on what my mood is. I may want to be serious, I may want to be funny. I enjoy, sewing or stitching. I don't sew, I stitch. I enjoy travel, talking with people, getting to know people, hanging out with my friends, that kind of thing. And I am broadening my base of interests in stitching as well. I mean, before it was pretty standard, either band samplers or seams or flowers or something. Really kind of like Paula Vaughn quilts was a favorite of mine at one point. And now, over the last several years, I see my horizons widening. I now do the Quaker style pieces now that I showed you last week, and I'm getting into flowers. My year of bouquets is quite a stretch for me, but I really enjoy it. So, I'm one of those, it's like you can teach an old dog new tricks, and I'm not saying I'm old, but I'm just saying that my tastes have changed and my philosophy has changed. And I want to continue growing, and I want to continue widening my horizons and learning new things. And, it's like you're never too old to stop learning. So, with that bit of philosophy and contemplation, I will bring this to a close. Again, if you like what you see, what you hear, please click the like button or subscribe. You can click the little bell and you'll get a notification the next time I post a video. Please leave me questions, comments below. I love chatting with people, and I will answer them as soon as I can. One change that I'm going to make, last week I had said I would do a weekly video. I've seen this week, and I see going forward that I want to have a little bit longer video, and so I'm not going to have enough to show you every week to fill out the 30 minutes or 45 minutes that I would like to see. So I'm going to change. I'm going to do a video every other week. And so you'll have 2 weeks to catch up on, and I'll have 2 weeks of stitching and living to show you and talk about. So maybe that'll be a longer video that more of you will enjoy. I know when I asked for advice before I started this journey on Facebook, people said just do what feels comfortable for you. I did get some opinions, and so I tried to follow those as well. So anyway, I will see you in 2 weeks, good Lord willing, and we don't have a tornado or flood or anything. I hope you have a blessed day and a blessed week, and keep in touch, keep stitching, and keep smiling. Bye.